What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron. It's Tuesday morning, which means it's time for us to look through, honestly, kind of the dumpster dive that is the waiver wire. Today, we're going to talk through 10 must-add waiver wire targets for Week 13. It's this week, it's next week, then it's fantasy football playoffs. It's time to lock in, again, 10 players, all under 50% owned in ESPN leagues. With all that being said, if you enjoy, make sure down below, subscribe, leave a like. Let's go.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm frozen. She gon' let me.
All right, now first up here, we have a forgotten relic. It honestly feels like a relic of the past at this point. Someone we were drafting, in the top 10 rounds in fantasy football, Pat Freiermuth, and then he gets hurt early on. The games that he did play, he wasn't all that great, and he comes out here and he absolutely lights the world on fire this week with 9 catches for 120 yards. It's not easy to do at the tight end position, especially when your quarterback is Kenny Pickett. 21 PPR points this week, and Pat Freiermuth has been dropped in a lot of places. If you're in a one quarterback league, there's actually a decent chance. Like, a lot of people are going to say, oh, he's not available in my league. There's a decent chance Pat Freiermuth is available in your league. He's available right now in over 60% of ESPN leagues running here. And on top of that, he's been working back from injury. Shout out to the My Fantasy Life Utilization Report. You can see here, comes back from injury in Week 11, 39% of the routes, and that shoots up to 68% of the routes. As long as we can get to 70% plus territory and any of this sticks with Pat Freiermuth, maybe it does because of the new play caller, maybe likes to give the ball to a guy like Pat Freiermuth, we are in business pretty easily, a top 12 tight end rest of the season. Now, after that, we have a running back that I actually added. Look, this is why I make sure to wake up relatively early, record these the next morning, because Monday Night Football, sometimes we get a little bit of a waiver wire late edition here, that's what we had last night with Roschon Johnson. Shout out to PFF. I know Nathan Jonke always puts these out where it's the pie charts for running back usage. And Roschon Johnson, to all of our surprise last night, was the featured back here. Now, of course, Khalil Herbert was in the mix. This was also a game script where they passed the ball a ton. A lot of shallow passes as well. I don't really know what the Luke Getsy game plan was, but it was literally the horizontal air raid. But Roschon Johnson was a big beneficiary of that. He had 75% of the snaps. He had 15 touches here. He had 10 for 35 rushing, which wasn't great, but he did have 5 targets, 5 catches, 40 yards for 12.5 PPR points, his second best fantasy game of the season. Now, he does have a bye week here. So he's going to go into the bye. Other side of the bye, Deontay Foreman could be back. Khalil Herbert's also been working back from an injury of his own, a high ankle sprain he suffered in the Thursday night game a while back. So that was probably why Roschon Johnson was such a featured role here, or was in such a featured role here. But any running back who gets 15 touches in a game should probably be rostered. We'll see if any of this usage sticks moving forward, but he's somebody that is a really good stash heading into the playoffs. Now, after that, I got to be honest, again, we're dumpster diving a bit here, all right? It's Week 13. I'm giving you guys the best I got, right? This is if you are a championship contender and you're just trying to churn through bench spots and just, bench handcuffs, stash players, I think Jayden Johnson is a great call here. Again, if we look at the My Fantasy Life Utilization Report here, something's off with Travis Etienne. I love Travis Etienne. He's my guy, but if you've had Travis Etienne the last 3 weeks, it's been an absolute struggle. He's averaging under 10 PPR points per game over the last 3 weeks. And on top of that, you can see his snap percentages have all fallen down. Where before that Week 9 bye, he was at 88% of the snaps. He comes out of the Week 9 bye. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if they just changed the game plan. But he went from this 85% snap plus bell cow Travis Etienne to more of your 60-40 type of split we were used to last year. So now he's at about 63% of the snaps, 65%, then 59% in Week 12. And you can see Jayden Johnson goes from 5%, 20%, 25% to now 43%. So this is a 60-40 split. You're going to get a guy in Jayden Johnson who's we're talking desperation, RB2 starts, but it's that time of the year. A lot of guys are on bye this week. You could do a lot worse. He did have 9 touches in this game. He had 9 opportunities. He had 7 carries. He had 2 targets, 1 catch. His 1 catch went for 42 yards. So Jayden Johnson should be rostered alongside your, Rico Dowdles and Elijah Mitchells of the world as these handcuffs that have a ton of upside if the starter was to go down. Someone who doesn't have that same upside, that's why Royce Freeman's so tough for me. We just saw Kyren Williams went down. Royce Freeman wasn't this world beater. So he's not a handcuff, but he is somebody that you can look to in a pinch because the Rams use their running backs so much. Royce Freeman's more of your bruiser on the ground. He had 13 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown this past week for 13.7 PPR points. If you started him and were down bad, you're fine with that. 13.7 PPR points more than gets the job done. You can see it's kind of like a 65-35 split with Kyren Williams and Royce Freeman, and that's not the worst thing in the world, is what I'm trying to say. Again, these running backs aren't sexy, but Royce Freeman is somebody that could be stashed away if you're struggling at the RB2 spot. Then we have some wide receivers here, the first of which being Curtis Samuel. He was finally back this past weekend, up over 50% of the snaps. He had 19 PPR points. He had 12 targets, 9 catches, 100 yards versus Dallas. It was the first time he was over 50% of the snaps since he was over 50% against the Seahawks in Week 10, where he had 6 targets, but nothing really came of it. He's been okay. He's somebody that you just grab as a flex. He's had 11.5 points per game in the games that he's played with over 50% of the snaps. That would be about wide receiver 36 on the year. So it's not anything crazy again, but it's also not terrible. Just somebody that you can throw in the flex if you need it. Somebody that I actually like more than him is going to be rookie Jayden Reed. This is somebody that I could easily see being this year's. I mean, I don't want to shoot for the moon with Jayden Reed. I really don't know that like Amon-Ra St. Brown is in his upside case, but if you told me from week 10 on Jayden Reed was a top 24 point per game wide receiver, I could see him doing that over the last stretch of the season. We can see here, this is the rookie wide receiver report. He's between Jordan Addison and Dontavion Wicks. You can see his week 10 route percentage went from 56% to 79% and 79%. So now he's fully in the rotation. He looks good. He's now at over 15 PPR points in his last 3 games. He's over 75% of the routes. He's a focal point of this offense. I like giving him carries as well. Jayden Reed, really nice. Somebody that you can literally flex from here on out, pretty much with more upside for that. Now, more of a stash in terms of rookie wide receivers is Jalin Hyatt. I thought it was pretty much done for him, but he had a blow-up game. You could see he had a huge 12.3% increase in his PFF grade. He's between Marvin Mims and JSN there. And you can see 41% of the routes, then 64%, then 70%. If that can creep up to 80% and we get better quarterback play with Tyrod Taylor potentially coming back, or just, Tommy DeVito is really sort of coming on here, that's all good things for Jalin Hyatt. He comes out here, he has 6 targets, 5 catches, 109 yards, keeps the light on for him, but he has a bye week, so it's purely a stash. You cannot start him this week, Jalin Hyatt, but with a bye week, he could come out the other side, get a little post-bye rookie bump, all of that become more of the game plan. So Jalin Hyatt is a decent stash in deeper leagues. Somebody else in deeper leagues, Khalil Shakir. Low-end flex guy, Shakir. You can see on the utilization report from My Fantasy Life that pretty much ever since Dawson Knox got hurt in Week 7, he's been about 70% of the routes. He just set a season high with 81% of the routes this past week. Only 8 PPR points to show for it that week, but you can see since Week 7, 8 points, 15, 10, 3, 21, 8. Low-end flex guy, you could do a lot worse. I will say he has a Week 13 bye, so just somebody you're stashing for the playoff push. Same thing with Rashod Bateman, who's going to be on bye this week, but Rashod Bateman running more routes, not much production, right? But he did have an 81% route percentage, which was his highest of the year. He's climbing up the ranks. He had 5 targets, which also set a tied a season high for him. So Rashod Bateman slowly working his way back in the mix. I do think if Zay Flowers has had a couple games here, Odell Beckham's had a couple games here, it wouldn't shock me if Rashod Bateman put something together down the stretch. Now, our last player is for anybody out there that's having tight end problems. I feel bad for you, son. I don't know, dude. It's in the morning. If you have Dalton Schultz, right, and it's like, God damn, can I even start Dalton Schultz? Juwan Johnson is interesting, man. Juwan Johnson, I wouldn't start him outside of like this nuts scenario that is happening for him. Chris Olave gets banged up. Rashid Shaheed gets banged up. Michael Thomas is out. So with all that being said, you can see the utilization report. He goes from 55% of the routes, 68, 64, and then 85% this past week, where he had 7 targets. So he had a season high in route percentage. He had a season high in targets with 7. This is only somebody I would be comfortable starting if one of like Rashid Shaheed or Olave doesn't play. If like let's say Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas are both out, I don't mind pivoting to Juwan Johnson. I'll also throw out Taysom Hill as well. When the Saints start losing weapons, they start falling or leaning on guys like Taysom Hill, on guys like Juwan Johnson. So if you're down bad at tight end, you could certainly do much worse. Now, later on tonight, I'll have my fab recommendation article out on the Patreon. So, I mean, it's late in the season. If you're not already on it, I doubt you will join. But, you know, it's late season. If you're making playoff pushes and, like, the stakes feel high, make sure to check it out, patreon.com/RonStewart. I have a link in the description and the comment section down below. But if not, that is all good. I hope you guys are making playoff pushes. Hope you guys are doing all right. We are officially 6-6 in the home league right now. We started 1-5. Pretty much have to win out. 8-6, we definitely get in. I don't think 7-7 would be good enough. So that's where we're at in the home league. Have some high stakes teams with some legs here. Deep in the season at this point. I will say tomorrow's going to be a free space video, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I might do a dynasty trades video where I just kind of go through. I have some teams that I've really been procrastinating on that I need to make some moves on. Some that I thought were contenders that I now need to kind of look towards the future. Some that I didn't think I'd be competing all that great or competing all that well that I now sort of need to push the chips towards the middle. Like I have this one team with like 2 firsts competing that I kind of should spend one of them. It would make sense to spend one of them. So I just haven't had the time to do it. So I might like kind of make that my morning and then kind of just post a video talking through the trades I made. So we'll see. I also want to talk about the 2024 rookie class soon, but I might wait until after conference championships when we get kind of that break between the bowl games. What else? Dynasty trade target video. Could also do like a rest of season video, playoff schedule video, playoff stash video. I don't know. It's weird. You guys always know I've sort of complained, or not complained, but I do prefer the offseason where I can talk about whatever I want. If I want to go through you guys or go through, you know, legendary running back upside and go on a wild goose hunt in my spreadsheets and kind of do a bunch of research, I can. But during the season, it's much more rigid. So now kind of slowly having the freedom to post kind of whatever. It's almost too much freedom. I don't know what I even want to post. I think we'll still do the sneaky starts video, but I want to sort of hover around 4 videos a week the rest of the season. So I do have that free space one. So if you guys have anything you guys really want to see, let me know. Still trying to figure out. It's probably just gonna be a free space video where I do whatever I want every week. So just a matter of putting pen to paper and figuring out what I want to do for that video. But that was a weird little tangent there. I appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you enjoy, make sure down below, subscribe, leave a like, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like